Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Silicon Nubian, where all things tech are discussed, dissected, and critiqued. In the ongoing series I have started about installing Linux with the attempt or hope of dispelling and debunking a lot of Linux installation misinformation out there, I have decided today to show you the installation of arguably the most popular Linux distribution that exists in the world today and has been for some time, Ubuntu. Ubuntu is synonymous, it seems, for many people with Linux. Do you Ubuntu? Do you run Ubuntu? Well, Ubuntu is just one of many Linux distributions, but it has the highest profile, and arguably so. At the time of the filming of this video, Ubuntu 15.04 was the latest version, and this is what we have in front of you now. What you see is what you will be presented with after starting up the bootable medium, whether it be a DVD or a flash drive, however which you wish to boot your machine into Ubuntu. You have a few choices. You have the language on the left. We'll keep it at English. You have Try Ubuntu. By clicking on this, I will enter into live DVD or live flash drive mode, which will allow me to kick the tires, as it were, and to see if I want to continue to use Ubuntu. Do I want to install it? Do I want to check out the features? Does it fit in with what I want? It's a great thing to do, and I recommend doing this in particular if you're not familiar with Linux to try this first. You'll get about 80 to 90% of the actual experience of running Linux on your machine. You may not get the speed that you would on a real install, and updates and whatnot may be handled a little bit differently, but it gives you a good idea. Our focus on this video being the installation of Ubuntu, we're more interested in this selection here, install Ubuntu, and that's where we're going to start. Right after clicking that, we're presented with the usual: do you have enough drive space? Make sure. Is it plugged in your computer? And do you have an internet connection? I also like to select this, which hopefully will ensure that at least some or all of the packages that need updating will get updated during the install. Install third-party software, Fluendo MP3 plugin. This is not necessary. I've never found this necessary. MP3 support is very easy to deal with in Ubuntu without having to resort to using a licensed technology decoder. So we move forward. Now we have the part that some people get confused about, but please don't. Newbies, erase and install Ubuntu, erase disk. This is the go-to selection for anybody who wants to install Ubuntu for the first time on a PC, or just wants to get rid of whatever's there, whether it be another Linux distribution, Windows, or whatever you happen to be running on that PC. This selection will erase the disk, install Ubuntu, and set it up as the only bootable OS on the drive. And this is the recommended installation for those who just want the least amount of fuss and worry. Okay, the next selection is Encrypt the new Ubuntu installation for security. If you're security conscious, you don't want people snooping in your computer, you're using your computer, for example, you have a laptop and you're out a lot and you want things to be, if somebody gets a hold of it, they can't get a hold of your sensitive data, this is the selection for you. I believe there may be a small performance hit to the system by enabling encryption, but it's not that great per se, and for the added security that it offers, it's worthwhile. Use LVM, new Ubuntu installation, logical volume management. This is the kind of thing that I would say, if you know what it is, you'll use it. If you don't, just leave it alone. And something else. The something else is interesting. I'm going to select that for a moment. This allows the user to set up the partitions exactly how they want it, on exactly what drives. For example, in my setups, I have the boot partition and the root partition on a 120 gig SSD drive, and I have the home partitions parked on a 1 terabyte spinner drive. And this will allow you that amount of flexibility and whatnot to get that done Also, if you have certain partition requirements or things that you want to do, this is the place to do it. But for the terms of this video, we're going to go and to the install disk, erase disk, sorry, and install Ubuntu directly, which is the quick and dirty method. And this is what this is all about. Click on install now. It'll give you a warning again that changes are going to be permanently written to the disk. And it shows you the disk, SDA, that's the first hard drive. And here we have the partitions that will be created. You'll create a one partition in ext4. If you're a newbie, you don't have to worry about all of this. The ext4 is just a file system, much like NTFS is to Windows. Different with Linux is there's many different file systems available, ext4 being one of the most mature and trusted and stable file systems that exist. And of course, it will create a swap partition. Many Linux distros will put a separate partition just for a swap. And we click on continue. Wait a while Ubuntu does its thing in the background. Here it wants to know what area of the world you are in. We're going to keep it as it is because that is my time zone, although my city is different. Make sure to check your city, whichever one it is in the world. You can click on the map or you can type it in directly and see if it's listed. We'll keep it there. Here is the keyboard layout. I have a US keyboard, so fine, but tons of different layouts and languages, by the way, are supported by Linux in general, and consequently Ubuntu has that support built in. So we'll keep it as English. And here we're going to install a super user. Your name, how your Ubuntu distribution or your Linux install what the computer's name will be. Okay. If you're in a network, other computers will see your computer as having this name. So we'll just keep it as it is. Pick a username. I have Linux user and password. You'll see that it gives me a warning because the password I chose is somewhat short, but for the sake of this video, it doesn't really matter at this point. But choose something that is longer, contains both uppercase, lowercase. Remember, it's case sensitive, the password, and maybe some numerals in it. Here, you can require a password to log in or log in automatically. I'm going to leave the default. You can require a password to log in because that's pretty much what most users will do. And here we have another option to encrypt your home folder. This is interesting. Home folder is where most of your documents, in fact, pretty much all of your documents that you create, this is where they're going to be put. Every Linux user that's created on the system has a folder with their name on it. And that's your home folder, which under it contains other subfolders such as documents, videos, stuff like that. So to encrypt your home folder might be a good thing to do depending on you, if you want that extra layer of security, or if the folder, it's not the folder, but the PC is used by many different people or whatnot. This might be something you might want to be interested in, but we're going to leave it alone for now for sake of this video where we're trying to stress the simplicity of the install. Click on continue. And here we go. Ubuntu 15.04 is installing. I will pause the video, and when I come back, I'll show you the fully functional desktop that we have done, and I'll also time it, okay, and tell you how long it's taken. So I'll be back soon. Well, not exactly, but under 5 minutes. And now we have the installation is complete. You need to restart your computer in order to use your new installation. Your installation times may vary. I mean, on this system, I'm basically installing Ubuntu in a virtual machine using the ISO file. I find it's a very quick way to install, but it's not practical if you're going to install that way. You can't use that method if you're installing on a real hardware. It might take a bit longer, but even though it's still a very, very quick install. I will now pause the video and come back after the reboot. Okay, Ubuntu's been fully installed. The reboot took just a minute or so, minute and a half. And here we have, you're at the login screen. The user I created, Linux user, will now enter the password. And that should take us to a fully functional Ubuntu 15.04 desktop. Honestly, it's easy peasy, simple, no matter how you want to call it, slice it, present it. Installation of Linux is quite simple. And here we have it, a fully functional Linux desktop from installation all the way around, reboot to desktop, probably in under 20 minutes for the vast majority of people. In a virtual machine, it was under 10 minutes. And now we can start being functional right away. Next video, I'll see if I can dig up some more interesting stuff for you. If you have any requests with respect to Linux distributions that you want to see what their install is like, or you want them to be reviewed from a real user's perspective, someone who uses Linux all the time, myself, someone who is an enthusiast and open to new ideas, please leave a comment. And if you like what you see, running out of disk space. If you like what you see, holler back, leave a message. It's always appreciated. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.